Today we're gonna make Chouchen. Well, our version of Chouchen, okay? Because it can only really be made in France, from what I've read. But Chouchen is a mead, and mead is fermented honey. But this one also has apple juice in it. Starts out super, super easy, and then gets a little bit more complicated as time goes on. So to start off with, everything that is going to touch our Chouchen has been sanitized in
the red bucket of sanitization!
Which is a 10-gallon, I've been saying 15-gallon. It's a 10-gallon bucket. It's sitting right there. It happens to be red. It's filled with star sand and water mixed to the manufacturer's suggestions. This is a 1.5-gallon fermenter. We're gonna make approximately a 1-gallon batch of Chouchen. By the way, these 1.5-gallon fermenters are amazing. They actually have milliliters and fluid ounces marked right on the glass. We'll have a link to these.
As well as all the tools that we're using in this video and the ingredients and their volumes.
For ingredients, first, apple juice. And you know, we decided to splurge. We went to Walmart. Got great value, because why not?
We looked at so many apple juices and they all add vitamin C, AKA absorbic acid.
Yeah, this one is 100% apple juice, pasteurized. Its ingredients are apple juice from concentrate, water, apple juice concentrate, ascorbic acid, vitamin C. Now, they do that for color. There is a little bit of an acidity difference, but I'm okay with that for this because I would probably want to add some acidity later anyway. Tend to like that in meats.
The only reason why the pH is an issue is it may affect fermentation, but we did a test on that in wine and it didn't affect it at all, much to our confusion.
Yep. This is 96 ounces. If anybody's concerned about it not being sanitary, it was sterile in there. Not just sanitary, sterile in this container. And if anybody's worried about headspace, not a problem in primary fermentation.
If anybody's worried about a mess, don't worry, Brian's got you covered.
Okay, so we have our apple juice. Now I want to take a reading on that because I want to know approximately where it starts. I'm betting you it's somewhere around a 1.05 something because most apple juices are, but since I have not used this exact juice yet, in case you're wondering, this is the easiest way to make alcohol, right here. Just what I'm doing. You put some juice into a container and you put some yeast in it, which we're gonna do in a second. 1.048, it's actually on the low side. So if I do that, like if you just did what I'm doing here, you're basically making a cider or a hard cider, depending on how you wanna call it. That's about 6%. So right there, you can make like a super easy 6% cider, no worries. I'm just gonna pour this right back in because we sanitized everything.
Also, adding oxygen to our brew at this point is fine. Actually, it's kind of important because the yeast we're about to add require oxygen in order to build their colony. That's right, the first stage yeasts do is build a colony. They have a party, they invite all their friends, they grow, they multiply. And then once they're done with that, they've consumed all that oxygen to do that process, they're gonna get to work converting the sugars that are available to them into alcohol and CO2 and a gajillion other stuff.
Sounds like depth charges. By the way, the amount that I just did, ultimately meaningless, but I was doing it to prove a point that you can totally oxygenate at this point. It doesn't matter.
Once those yeasty beasties have started the conversion process, though, oxygen is bad.
Right. Now, this is just step one. This is going to take several weeks to get done, so just in case. But I have been kind of stressing that you could just do this one step and make a decent cider and be happy.
But it won't be mead.
Nope, and it won't be Chouchen. Now, traditionally, Chouchen uses buckwheat honey, and we have some buckwheat honey, and that's what we're gonna be using in later steps. But right now, I'm adding Saft Cider AB1. By the way, yes, it's Saft Cider, not Safe Cider. We actually got to visit the Fermentis facility, and we're told it's Saft Cider.
It's called Saft Cider because the name of the company is Le Saft.
Le Saft, yep, exactly. And I'm just using a half packet. Now, why did we choose this yeast?
Because this is going to produce a balanced cider note, which will be perfect with our buckwheat addition.
We actually did a test on a couple of Saft Cider yeasts for cider, and we found that there was some difference. It wasn't like night and day, but there was a pretty decent amount of difference. And also, I wanted something with a little bit higher alcohol tolerance, because one of them only says 6%. This one, according to Fermentis, says 11%.
But can go as far as 18%?
Yeah, Other sites were saying 18%. So even if it only goes to 11, I'm okay with that because we are going to be doing what's called a step feed. So we're going to be adding honey to this, letting it ferment, and then adding more, letting it ferment. But that happens later. For now, all we got to do.
Can you guys see the yeast falling down? This reminds me of like a snow globe.
Yep, it totally does kind of look like a snow globe. And if you shook it up even more, I bet you would do more. But then it'll all stick to the sides, and I don't want that to happen.
So Brian told you this was easy, right? We're done for step 1.
So the airlock is going to start going bloop, 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 and then eventually it's going to slow down, and we'll be back to show you what to do then. Okay, it's been a week. When I came out this morning to do the swirls like I do sometimes and just take a look at things to examine what we're going to do today, this one looked pretty gassy, and when I did mix it up a bit, it gave off a lot of gas, and it only started at 1.048. So I said, you know what? Let's take its first reading. It may not be done yet, and that's okay, but I'm just curious to see where it's at.
Yeah, this is typically pretty early for us to be taking a first check, but because we have future plans, we just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's still very, very gassy. I think it's still going, but only one way to find out. Well, actually, there's two. If I had my tilt in this, I'd know.
Super gassy.
Whoa! But also...
Super low.
Yeah, it literally went down to like 1.000. Let me see if I can read it here. But that is, I mean, it's just gassing up the place here.
All right.
But it is sitting at like 1.004.
Is that close enough to start?
I think that's close enough, yeah.
All
so
right.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get out some honey.
We're going to get out
put this on a
some
scale.
buckwheat honey.
Buckwheat honey. Yes, Chouchen is traditionally made with buckwheat honey almost exclusively. Though wildflower is not unheard of, we are going to use buckwheat because we just happen to have some. It generally has a stronger, earthier, almost musty note to it. So we're going with traditional. All right, so we have our Chouchen on the scale and just tear it out. And we have buckwheat honey. We used this to make a buckwheat traditional, I think, years ago. So that tells you how long we've had this for. It smells grainy. It smells like a grain. It really does.
It smells like buckwheat.
Yeah, well, sort of. How much do you think we should do? We're going to step feed this. So right now it's sitting at, well, let's find out. Using the calculator teacher said I would never have handy.
Should I put this back on?
You could just set it on there, yeah. So we start at 1.048. Today we're at 1.004. That's 44 points times 131.25. This is 5.7% right now. We used 71B. I know that can go to 14 or 15%. We're probably not going to go that high. If I did half a pound of honey, that's 0.017. That's about 2.2% ABV.
Half a pound sounds reasonable.
Yeah, let's do half a pound today, half a pound next time, it's all good. So half a pound of honey going in. And it's already like, you can see the bubbles coming up. So there's our 8 ounces, which is half a pound. Now, at this point, I'm going to mix it, okay? Is it absolutely necessary to? No. And if I wasn't trying to do this to teach you, I might not mix this because there's a possibility of oxidation.
Yep.
However, this is super, super gassy, so I'm not as worried about that. And it's still going to be a primary fermentation, so I'm even less concerned. But also, I want to make sure that it all gets mixed through. That's the real reasoning behind doing this, so that I can get a reading on it to know how much more it could ferment based off of what we add to it. If none of that made sense, basically, I want to know where it's at so that we know what it can get to from a fermentation standpoint.
Now, when you mix up a brew that already has the least cake formed at the bottom, you will see white globules floating around. That is normal. Don't freak out.
It's actually a good thing to break those up while you're doing this too, because there's live yeast that settled out for whatever reason. They could have been starting to go dormant because this was almost finished fermentation. So that way you can get them back up into suspension and get them back to work.
It's like you're playing the game Wake Up the Dead from the Addams Family.
Yeah. Without a shovel. Use a spattle instead. So my first complaint with these square containers, they're harder to mix in.
Oh yeah, because you got corners.
Yep. Someone told me that they cracked theirs with a plastic spoon for mixing too hard. I could see that because the round jars are going to be more structurally sound as far as strength. That's why you use round. So like an egg is round, not square.
Right.
So I can see that. So you want to be a little bit more careful with these guys. I don't see it as too much of a problem because it is thick glass, but still flat glass versus rounded is always going to be less strong. So just be careful, don't beat the heck out of them.
All right, speaking of beating the heck out of it, I think you're done. And you want to take a new gravity reading, right?
I do.
Okay. This gravity reading is going to just be a baseline for the next phase of fermentation. Because remember, we just added some new fermentable sugars in there through our buckwheat honey, and we want to make sure that it's continuing to ferment. So this is like the new baseline.
Right. Now, when I calculated how much it should jump up, that was based on a full gallon. We don't have a full gallon here. We have like 3 liters now after adding the half pound. By the way, I just want to say something. ABV approximation is just going to be that. It's going to be a very approximated thing here. I'm not going to go through all the dilution every time I add this. We're just going to roughly calculate it and go from there. Right now it's sitting at 1.032. All right, so that's it for today. I'm going to pour this sample back in, down the side, nice and gentle, because everything was sanitized. If I didn't sanitize my measuring equipment, I would not be pouring that back in. There's a chance of infection.
Do you want to give it a final swirl before we put this on, or are you
Nope,
good?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I am happy with the way it is.
Still degassing.
Yep, it's gonna start fermenting again.
Sure.
Now, I degassed this pretty well by mixing it all up, but look at that. It's still letting off gas. And that's the trick. Right there, CO2 is heavier than oxygen. So if you ever were worried about oxygen getting in there, it's not going to be a problem because it's forcing it out.
It's also still actively releasing gas.
Yep.
So that's another important thing to take in consideration. If it was not actively releasing gas, this headspace would be too much.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
It's still actively releasing gas. It should be creating more gas because we should be continuing to ferment. So that way, that headspace is not so much an issue.
What I was talking about with the accuracy of ABV on this, we've done a couple of like step feed tests and things like that. And it's been pointed out to us, and they're absolutely right, that when you add all those numbers together, you have to include the dilution rate and things like that. So it's going to be less ABV than what we calculated out to be in the end. In other words, like if this 32 points burns all the way down to 1.000, it didn't actually add that much alcohol to it, just a little bit less. So what happens is when we start doing multiple feeds, all those little rounding errors add up. So it's going to be a very much an approximate, but I'm shooting for like 13 to 14. That way I know we're somewhere between 11 and 12. At least, okay? I hope that makes sense. This is, whenever you step feed, it's always very much an approximation, but that's the fun of it. Like for this, I want it to just end where we want it to end, sweet, and have it taste good.
Regardless of what you're doing, ABV is approxation anyways.
Yeah, but in this, it's even more so. It's a wider range of what it could be. So don't get crazy on me. Just go with the flow. Enjoy the process.
All right, so we're going to put this back in the fermentation and let it ferment.
Yep. See you next week. Okay, so it has been one more week. Last time we added honey. Let's see how it did. Did it ferment it? We don't know. That's why we take readings. The color is beautiful. It's got this like golden, almost bronze color.
Yeah.
But it's at 1.000.
And that means it's time for more honey.
At this point, the question becomes how much more? Because we have now burned through 48 and 32 points, so roughly like 80 points.
Are we going to take another reading when we add more honey? We have to. Yes.
Yeah, we do to calculate how much we added. I think another pound is fine, and here's why I think that. Even if it didn't ferment it, I'm probably going to be okay with the gravity that it would be. And if it does ferment part of it, I'm okay with it. And if it ferments all of it, it's okay because we're only at about 1.080 total-ish points. And I know that a pound of honey is about 35 more, so that's like 1.105. I'm totally fine with that. We've actually done that before, so.
All right, so let's get our scale.
Tear it out, get out our buckwheat honey, and 1 pound. Is that what we did last time? Yeah. No, we did half pound. See, that's why you take notes. So I'm gonna put in 8 ounces, just half pound.
Yeah.
Because all the same things that I said before, still apply.
All the gradual additions and the stirring and everything that we're doing is to try to create an environment that's most pleasing and, more importantly, less stressful for our yeast so that they continue the fermentation process.
Now, we may have mentioned this before, but if anyone's worried about oxidation, I would like to point out the amount of foam that is forming on top of here. That is CO2.
Coming out.
CO2 is heavier than oxygen, so it is going to force the oxygen out. And contrary to some people's beliefs, it's significantly heavier than oxygen. It's like 20% heavier, something like that. That's, when it comes to gases, that's a lot. So it is going to push it out. Right this second, no, they're mixed in there. And I'm okay with that because there is enough CO2 coming out of this that it's not actually mixing into the brew. That's what oxidation is. It's not oxygen on top of it. It's oxygen in it. And that's why if you notice the way I'm mixing, super carefully. I'm gonna take longer to mix this than usual.
Maximizing movement down here, minimizing as much as possible up here.
All the little chunks that you see, that's all the lees. So this does a few things, and it's really kind of interesting. We could have just step fed this and not even mixed it in. If you didn't want to take readings on it, you could totally do it that way. You're flying blind and hoping for the best.
Yep.
But you can, because we know that it'll still get to it. But by doing it this way, we're doing a couple things. First, we know how much we added. Therefore, we have some control and some predictability. Because like I said, even if this didn't ferment at all, it'll end at like a 1.020-ish. Okay, I like that kind of sweetness level. I'm cool with that.
Second, the stirring method allows it to degas, which is going to get rid of some of that byproduct that yeast don't like to live in. It's their waste. That and alcohol. Now the alcohol we want to keep, so getting rid of the gas might keep those yeasty beasties happy.
And third, by stirring up the lees again, getting everything back up into suspension, lees is made up of yeast that have gone dead, dormant, and otherwise are being cannibalized. So some of those yeast are actually alive and just dormant. So they fell out of suspension. They just decided, I'm gonna take a break for a while. I don't know the scientific explanation.
Wake up!
But doing this puts them back to work. It never hurts to mix a little bit more than you think you should, unless you're being very vigorous and aggressive in a situation like this, but I'm still watching lots of gas coming out. I could probably stir this for 20 minutes and gas would still be coming out. That's the funny thing with degassing. You're almost never done, unless you use a pump or something to get it all out. And I know some people get really into that. We don't worry about it so much. Ours are gonna sit for months afterwards. It's gonna naturally degas. I don't worry about it. And I see that as kind of a safety blanket kind of deal.
Yeah.
Gives us a little extra insurance, that extra CO2 layer on top. It's no harm. There's still some gas in here. I can see bubbles coming up, so that's all good. We did lose some of our clarity, but that's to be expected when you do this. It's okay. 1.022. So like I said, even if it didn't ferment any further at all, I'd probably be very happy with that level of sweetness, but that's my personal taste. Some people like them a lot drier. It's okay. Either way is fine. So that way I know I'm safe with that amount in there, even if it didn't ferment, but I'm expecting it to ferment probably dry yet again.
If you have a lot of time to finish your brew, but you don't have the tolerance of the sweetness level, you can always add smaller increments each time.
Yep. Yeah, after this one, we'll probably start adding less each time. But that's for next time. See you in a week. It's been one more week. We added some honey last time, just like we did the week before that. And now we find out, did it ferment? 1.000 again. At this point, we start adding smaller increments of honey because I'm gonna do a little calculation here just to figure out how much alcohol we're actually working with. I'm gonna get an approximate ABV here. Now it is gonna be slightly less than this because of some dilution as we add the honey, but it's just a rough calculation. So we have 1.048 minus 1.004. That's 44. And then we went up to 1.032 and down to 0, so that's 32 points plus 0.032. And then last week was 1.022. Today it's 1.000, so 22 points plus 0.022. That means we've used up 0.098 gravity so far times 131.25. That puts it at between 12 and 13%. So being that we used 71B, it can still go a little further. I think we added a half pound last time. I'm good with another half pound this time, because even if it doesn't ferment all the way out, it'll be a sweetness level that I know we like. I know I've said that a million times, but it's important to understand. Buckwheat honey supply is getting kind of low. Hopefully we finish this out before we run out of honey. So half pound. Now, I gotta mix this up.
All right.
And then take another reading. This is why we don't do a lot of step feeds. They're very intricate. Like, they take a lot of steps.
They're needy.
Now, step feeding is a great way to naturally stabilize without using chemicals or pasteurization. That is one great
Just
thing about
keep
them.
on going until it doesn't.
I know one of our viewers, Tiger Pat, that's how he does it. He actually says, if it goes dry, that means it needed more. Okay, and that works. You know, that's why we like to show many different ways of doing things on the show. There's no one right way. There's no one size fits all. We try to keep it simple too. We try to, show like, here's a really simple way to do it, and here's a more complicated way to do it. It's funny because we're talking about this as we have something pasteurizing over there right now. I don't know that I'm going to be able to mix all this honey in this time.
Yeah.
It's getting a little chunky. It was crystallized pretty harsh, and I just squeezed the heck out of the bottle until it all came out.
Now, the yeast are still going to get to it.
Oh, yeah.
As long as we give it enough time. The difficulty for us at this point is that because it's not blending thoroughly into the solution, we're not going to get an accurate gravity reading.
Does that really matter? Not really. Because when you do a step feed, unless you do all the calculations for dilution every single time, you're not going to be all that accurate anyway. And with enough rounding errors in there and multiple steps, if you can be within 2 or 3 percentage points at best, that's about as much accuracy as you can get. And that's all I really hope for most of the time anyway. I don't think it's going to mix in. So let's just take there's chunks. 1.020. So we got most all of it dissolved in there. It smells pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's a gentler fermentation from what I can tell, because you don't have a lot of sugars in there all at once. So it's kind of like it just ferments a little bit, and then you add a little bit more, and then a little bit more. So it probably retains a lot more flavors that way too. That's a theory. I could be wrong. Took our notes, stick the label back on. See you in another week. Okay, so this has been going for, wow, we're actually, believe it or not, this is only like a little over 4 weeks. Holy crap, it seems like we've been doing this one forever.
That's because we're doing something each week, so it seems longer, but it's bam, bam, bam.
The first thing I want to do is take a reading on it, make sure that it actually fermented out the last addition that we put in. Wow, 1.000. That's 15.48%. Even allowing for dilution, it's still 13 plus. All right, I am going to dump this. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to taste it. Uh-oh. Yeah, we got to taste this one. This just looks like liquid gold. It just really looks beautiful. And as we've said, it's essentially a cyser, okay? So it's just a different way of making a cyser, which I think is a really interesting concept. It's essentially a step feed cyser. Smells nice. Appley.
Yep.
The earthiness of that honey is coming through. It's not my favorite kind of honey.
It's not my favorite either.
But it's okay. We're gonna persevere. I want to weigh out some more honey. I do believe we're getting near the end. At least I hope so. If I have to, I'm going to start subbing out different kinds of honey, because wildflower is also used in Chouchen. So buckwheat is the truly traditional, but not everybody had buckwheat. So now the big question is, how much am I going to put in? I don't know. It depends how much we have. I might get a 1/4 pound out of this. That is the most unattractive honey pouring I have ever seen in my life. Well, I did say about a 1/4 pound. We're at 3.3 ounces. So with the runoff in there, I don't really want to do the rinse trick because that's just oxidizing. But should I anyway? Should I try it?
Well, you won't know exactly how much honey you're adding.
True. Does that matter at this point?
I
can take a reading to know more.
Sure.
I'm just going to put a little bit of this in there and mix it around. I'm a professional. Do not try this at home. I mean, you can. You know what I mean. Rinse off the side here, too. Who squirted it down the side? What the
I
heck?
don't know. Who did that?
They should be fired
They wish.
and replaced by llamas.
They should be sacked and replaced by
Fact, yeah. I was trying to think of the word. All right, I think I've dissolved as much as I'm gonna get, and I'm just gonna do it.
We don't need it on the...
Nope, we don't need it on the scale anymore, so I'm gonna tip it and do it the safer way. Okay.
A blob was coming down. What that blob?
I want all the blob.
Every blob is sacred.
I think all the blob that's gonna come out.
I think we're done with that.
Yeah.
We're done with you.
Okay. Using a sanitized spattle, I'm gonna mix it up again. I'm gonna do a little bit of research on Chouchen too and see if any of the honeys we have are more accurate than a wildflower would be. Because
Okay.
I don't want to have to buy, okay, I'll be honest, I don't want to buy buckwheat honey because I don't like it. So I don't want to buy more when I need like a quarter pound. I just don't want to do that. So this is sitting right now at 1.010. Probably not quite sweet enough for us. So my suggestion, do we want to sweeten this to like 1.020 now with another, well, no, I didn't do any research.
Yeah.
All right, one more week. I'll put this back in. And that's the thing, like I could put more honey in now because I think it's nearing the end. You know, we're getting close. It's gotta be, because this is over 13% already. This may not ferment anymore at this point, and then next time you see us, we might just be doing adjustments and stuff, and that's cool too. Or it might ferment it all out, and we'll just have to go, what the heck, beast? Why are you still working? Take a break. So we have our notes back in the fermentation. See you in a week. All right, it's been another week, and last week we only added to 1.010, so let's see where it went this time. Now, part of the reason why we only added to 1.010 is because we're running out of buckwheat honey. Actually, we are out of buckwheat honey now. So if this continues, it's going to be wildflower honey, and that is okay too. I actually prefer wildflower to buckwheat anyway, so when the last flavors are wildflower, we might like this better, because you didn't like buckwheat honey either.
No.
There's different ones. And I mean, that's true of any honey. If you get it like a different time of year, from a different state, from a different region in a state, they're going to be slightly different. And the one that we have, I'm not a huge fan of. I'll just say that. I know a lot of people love their buckwheat honeys, and that's awesome. Wow, 1.000. This is getting insane. I did not think this would go quite this far. But hey, you know what? Due diligence. We're going to do the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tip this to the side and pour this back in like we always do. Yeah, there is a lot of lees in the bottom there. What were you just saying?
It's like one of those, the sand ceremony, we saw them in weddings a lot, where the partners would have different colors, and so it would make these stripes. And you can kind of see the stripes in this, even though it's just basically one thing.
We show you things like that just so that you realize that it's not a problem. There's nothing wrong. It's just the way the lees fell out this time.
Just neat.
Yeah, it's just pretty cool. So we were at 1.010, we went to 1.000. So that's like probably almost a third. It was probably like a quarter pound. I'm going to say we could probably go a little bit more than that, because we're probably going to want this at like 1.020 to finish for us anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just put in half a pound.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we are past a gallon now, so half a pound won't even be half of the 0.035. It's fine. Half a pound. All right, just like every other time, I'm gonna stir it up, but I'm gonna be careful about it. It seems like this has been going for like 6 months.
It's just each week.
Yeah.
It's a new step.
1.022 right now. I think maybe we have one more addition after this, and that's probably gonna be the end of it. We can only hope. I don't know, because I mean this is getting up there for ABV now. It's got to be like 13 to 15%.
All right, so we're gonna put our lid and our airlock back on. We'll see you in a week.
All right, it's been one more week. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna take a reading on this, see what it's doing. One thing I want to notice is the color is very, very dark. Also, this is the first time it didn't ferment out dry. It's 1.012. So, do you know what that means?
We're done?
It means we're done.
Woohoo!
But not necessarily. It's probably done, but to be safe, I'm going to put the sample back in. We're going to let this sit for a week, and then we'll be back to verify that and give our final tasting on it. Okay, so it's been one more week, and we did nothing to it. Because,
we just let it sit.
Yeah, we want to see if it's done. Are you done? This actually didn't take that long. It's been about 7 weeks, which isn't that long.
It's actually been a kind of an interesting process.
And to those that get a little crazy on us for not using all the same honey throughout. We really didn't add that much of the other kind of honey, like literally a quarter pound or so to the whole deal. So
Sure.
I don't think that's a
If
problem.
you enjoy the flavor of buckwheat honey,
Yeah.
then by all means use just buckwheat. We don't.
Yeah. It's not really my favorite,
that
but
is
it is
why-
traditional.
That's why we diverged, though, because of our own personal bias.
And it actually went down more. It's 1.006. Does that mean we're not done? The idea is I don't want to stop this one early, but I also don't think we're going to like it at 1.006. But you know, we can do a quick taste today and see if we want to continue this or not.
Okay,
How's that?
sure.
Because we could just let it sit like this and see if it ferments more. But I'd like to just take a quick taste of it because I have a feeling we're going to want this one sweet.
Is it supposed to be sweet? I don't know anything about this beverage.
It's supposed to be what it is.
Well, that's less than helpful.
Yep. They don't really... I mean, I can do a quick lookup.
I'm not offended by its aroma. Do you?
Ooh. It's like caramely and rich.
Yeah.
Chouchen is typically sweet.
I did not save you very much to drink. I am so sorry, but you have more in your tester.
I see how you are. I definitely detect a young alcohol on it. It's higher alcohol, too. That is really not bad.
Yeah. I was trying to wait and not say anything to influence him.
Okay. I do think, though, that we would like this if it was sweeter. And I'm wondering, can I, like, overpower that yeast just a little bit? I think a little bit more honey in this.
Okay.
I'm not going to weigh it. I will measure it when we're done, though. But it's not bad. Let's put it this way. It's better than I expected it was going to be.
Yeah, particularly with our past history with buckwheat honey.
Okay, just to bring you up to speed, this is a step feed fermentation. At this point, last week, it was 1.012. It went down 6 more points. That was unexpected. I thought it was done because it sat at 1 point. Well, no, it really didn't. But
Yep.
anyway, we were just checking to see if it was really done because it didn't go to 0.
Brian was hopeful that it was going to stop. It did not. Thus, we continue.
Right. Now, Chouchen is typically sweet. We just tasted it. It tastes nice, but it tastes like it needs a little bit of sweetening. So, a little bit of sweetening it shall have. Just like that. Yep, I didn't measure. I didn't do nothing. Oh, you know what,
Yeah,
though?
you-
I just made a mess.
He made a big, giant mess.
She is going to sanitize those fingers after she licks the honey off them.
All right, I gotta wash my hand. If it continues on the route that it is thus far on flavor and aroma, I think this is like the perfect fall time beverage.
Yeah, it seems really great. And at this point, we could taste it again for a sweetness adjustment, but it's still fermenting, and I just mixed all the lees up. I don't want to taste it now. I mean, it looks like chocolate milk now. 1.014, which is probably a perfectly fine final number. Let's see what it does. Here we are again, one more week. It was at 1.006. We added honey to 1.014, and we're gonna see if it fermented again. If it didn't, we're tasting it. If I sound a little cranky, it's because there's a lot done with this one. It looks amazing, smells incredible though. What do you know? 1.014. I think it's done. I'm gonna call it done. I'm okay with it being done. 1.014 is actually a respectable number for us as well.
Sure.
Just to give you a rough idea, I'm gonna quickly add up what this did. Okay, it burned up, according to this, 134 points of gravity times 131.25 would be 17.5%. So that's 17.5%. That is before we do all the dilution from the honey. There's like 2.5 pounds in there. So that's like something like 22 ounces of honey. So it's diluted by about maybe 20%. So that's 17.5, just roughly take off about 3%. It's like 14, 15%. Somewhere in there.
Do we even care?
I'm good. I'm
No,
good.
We don't care.
But you know, we do need some glasses. We're going to use these glasses today. Why? Because they're adorably cute. There are also links in the description for these glasses. You can get them on Amazon. Just saying. This has a beautiful color.
It does.
It looks like a very dark apple cider.
Yeah.
Which it is actually. It's a cyser, you know, if you want to get technical. You know, apple mead. Are they equal in dignity?
I think mine is.
You have ever so slightly more. See, I'm a gentleman most of the time.
It does look like
It's like iced tea.
it looks like a cider to me. like a
Oh yeah, it's got like
American
a nice, yeah,
cider, which would be European cloudy
juice. It's got a beautiful color, a little bit of a reddish tint to it.
It looks like fall.
Yeah, it really does. On the smell, I get some of the youngness of it. Even though this was started, back in August and it's now the end of October.
Keep scooching it, so it's...
But it's still it's been an active fermentation until probably just a few days ago or a week ago.
Yeah.
It's not super unpleasant though. It's actually got a pretty nice smell. I get the apple. Definitely get the apple and the honey. Buckwheat honey, we've said it, is not really our favorite. So it's got a little more earthiness than we really like.
But I'm thinking this might be the way to use buckwheat honey.
Oh yeah. So far, so good. Okay, are you ready?
Ready. Yeah.
That is an incredibly robust, sophisticated, and layered taste. Lots going on there.
I'm
really impressed.
Really liking this.
It's got a nice acid profile to it, so it's not like overly acidic, but it has a really nice acid profile to bring out those flavors. The honey is coming through. The apple is coming through.
The mouthfeel is kind of creamy.
Yeah, almost.
It's not super viscous. It just feels kind of soft on the palate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is enjoyable and counters lovely with the acid kick.
Mm-hmm. I think this is going to age really well. It's still, I can taste it. It's a little rough around the edges still, but considering it's still a semi-fresh fermentation, I would expect that a little bit. And it is only like 7 weeks old. So it's confusing because we've made cysers before.
Right.
But this is different.
This is a whole different thing.
Right. To refresh, a cyser is when you take honey and apple juice and you ferment them together, okay? A Chouchen is when you make apple cider, hard apple cider first, and then you step feed honey into that. It makes for a very unique experience. I thought for sure it's just going to taste like a cyser when we started this out. No, it doesn't. This is very different. It's its own unique thing.
The apple notes for me are there. They're just very light, like it's not a pronounced apple.
Right. It's almost a green apple for me, like a Granny Smith kind of thing.
And I definitely get that it's a mead, but if you asked me, oh, what honey do you think this was? I wouldn't know. I would be stumped.
It does not have the deep earthiness that I'm used to with the buckwheat honey that we had. Because we've made mead with that exact honey before, and it had a very strong earthy note to it that was kind of distasteful. We didn't really like it. This doesn't seem to have that. Not as much.
The darkness, the color alone would make me think African or Australian honeys that we've used.
Yeah.
But they tend to have a chocolate note or a coffee note, and this doesn't have a coffee note to it.
No, it doesn't at all. This is fruity, floral. That's stop. You know what I mean? But it's got a lot of different layers of those things going on.
It almost feels like the sensation I get when we add dried fruit.
Oh, that cooked thing?
That's
like a mature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a mature note.
Ooh. See, now I just got caramel. Yep, caramel.
There was a drop on my glass. Yes. I'm weird.
Did you just lick your glass?
I licked my glass.
Waste not, want not. Every drop is sacred. I almost want to say I want it sweeter, but I'm afraid to make it sweeter. Because in a year, what's this going to be like?
I don't know.
It's so rich and deep already that I'm afraid of ruining it.
Even though it's not super apple-y, it's reminding me of like something that you'd want warm. Like a warm mug
this would
cider.
Be really good mulled, I think. Yeah. Or really cold. Either way, I could go with this one.
I'm impressed.
It's very unique.
When Brian brought this up to my attention, let's make this, I was just like, really? Why?
Yeah, that's kind of how I was for years when I saw it.
Now I want to make it all the time.
On your screen, you should be seeing our score guide. Goes from 1 through 11, because yes, ours goes to 11. What you don't see is the infamous 0, which we reserve for those special things that just completely suck. Spoilers, in my opinion, I don't think this is either a 0 or an 11. Do you have a number?
I do.
So do I. 1, 2, 3, 7.5. Wow, 9.5.
I really am enjoying this.
Apparently, that's kind of awesome. I thought this was great. I mean, 7.5 is my lowest score for a great mead. I think this is awesome. I think it's really interesting. And I think in a year, this is going to be amazing. For me right now, it's a little too rough around the edges. That's really all it is. It's just a little rough, but it'll get there.
I like it a lot. And not only could I drink it straight as we did today, but I could drink it in oh so many other combinations. And that's making me extra happy.
What we're going to do with this right now is we're going to rack this because that's a lot of headspace and we don't want to leave that. So we're going to rack this into a 1 gallon fermenter and then it's going to sit for months and then we'll bottle it. But about a year from today, one of those bottles will be drank probably in this exact same spot by these two people on our tasting room channel. If you don't know anything about the tasting room channel, we actually have another channel. It's called the Tasting Room, where we do all of our 1-year taste tests and we drink various other commercial products. Usually the wild, weird, and wonderful that we see in the stores that nobody ever picks up or that some of you love and have asked us to do. Anyway, as always, guys, thanks so much for watching and have a great day.
Make some Chouchen.